Hello chess lovers, I have a very interesting game for you played by Vassily Ivanchuk against Wei Yi. The game was played in the third round of their match played in Hoogeveen. Let's see how the game went on. Ivanchuk started with d4, knight f6 by Wei Yi, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4, knight f3 and d5. We see the Ragozin variation. C takes d5, e takes d5, bishop g5, h6, bishop h4, black castles, e3, bishop f5, rook c1, knight d7, queen b3, bishop takes c3, rook takes c3, c6, and knight d2. As you have noticed, the pawn on b7 is hanging, but capturing on b7 is not a good idea because of rook b8. And if white greedily captures on c6, then after rook takes b2, black has a huge compensation. The threat is rook b1 check. Also, this queen can jump to a5 square, and this is a very unpleasant position for white. Let's go back. After c6, we see knight d2, queen a5, f3, rook e8 and king f2. Quite a provocative idea by Ivanchuk, not castling but placing his king to f2 square, and later we will see that this actually worked. Rook c8, bishop e2, c5, d takes c5, rook takes c5, rook c1, and a dubious decision by Wei Yi g5. Well, rook c8 looks more natural, doubling up the rooks on c file. If bishop takes f6, then g takes f6. But probably Wei Yi didn't like this continuation where black's king side is weakened and black has so many pawn islands. But instead, after rook c1, we see g5, bishop g3, and in this position Wei Yi made a very daring decision and captured on e3, going for a rook sacrifice, but it turns out that actually in this position the rook sacrifice isn't working. Let's go back. Instead of playing g5, it turns out that in this position playing rook takes e3 actually works. Now, accepting the sacrifice can be very dangerous. If king takes e3, then d4 check, and if king takes d4, then black can go for the second rook sacrifice, rook c4 check, and if queen takes c4, then queen e5 checkmate. That's why after rook takes e3, white should first play bishop takes f6. If rook takes e2 check, then king takes e2, queen a6 check, king d1, rook b5, rook c8 check, king h7, queen c3, knight takes f6, with better chances for white, though on the other hand this continuation would have been better for black. Let's go back, but after bishop g3 we see rook takes e3. Ivanchuk accepted the sacrifice by capturing on e3. Here comes d4 check, king takes d4. Now in the previous variation I showed rook c4 double check, but now it won't work because this bishop is already on g3 square and is controlling the e5 square. Wei Yi played rook e5, cutting the king's path. Of course, white can't capture on e5 because after queen takes e5 check, king c4, white king is getting checkmated. But Ivanchuk calm-heartedly played bishop d3, and after bishop e6 he simply captured on b7. King g7, knight e4, knight d5, and only now he captures on e5 with a check. Knight takes e5. Of course, white can capture on e5 as well, but Ivanchuk played rook c5 and Wei Yi resigned. A very beautiful final position, I think. Look at this king on d4, which looks very amusing. You won't see such a position every day where white is winning with the king on d4. Your comments and questions please, and thanks for watching. Good luck.